Hey, my name is Zyger, aka Gabby, and I've been doing game development for nearly 2 years now. And for some reason, I always get asked, how do I start making games? I get people telling me that they want to get into game development, but don't know where to start. So I'm sitting down today to tell you how you can start your game dev journey. But before we begin, this video is sponsored by Core. Most of you already know, but Core is an awesome free game creation platform, where you can build, play, and publish games. You can use thousands of free assets that they provide, like music, sound effects, models, and more. The cool thing is that there is no coding required to make something. But if you like to get deeper, Core still lets you create your own game logic in Lua. You can either make games from scratch or reimagine content made by other creators. Right now they are hosting the Core Invitational Summer Game Jam, with $140,000 in prizes, including a Tesla Model 3. You can sign up today to have the chance of taking part. So check out Core down below or visit coregames.com to get started. Okay, so I think the most reasonable starting point is choosing a game engine, or at least a programming language to start with. For beginners, I generally would recommend to get started with an actual game engine instead of making your own, as that requires a lot more, and I mean a lot more effort and knowledge. Right now, there is a lot of options for game devs. You have things like Unity, Unreal, Godot, GameMaker, Core, and more. So it's honestly up to you. I'd recommend trying to research different engines and seeing what sounds intriguing or interesting. So go ahead and download your engine. In this example, I'll be using Unity. Okay, so what now? I have it installed, but I still don't know what to do. At this point, I'd personally just test the engine out. What I mean is take a look, try some things, and see what I can figure out by myself without any tutorials. By no means should you be spending too much time on this, but it's always useful to take a look around. Get used to the layout and familiarize yourself. At this point, you should also download some sort of a code editor. I'd recommend Visual Studio or Visual Code. Those are free and used by pretty much everyone, but if you want to spend some extra money, you could get something like Rider. Now this next step is really up to you. I would generally do one of two things at this point. Option 1 is to follow some simple tutorials and try to recreate them. This is generally great as you're learning the engine and how the language works on a basic level. It's also great as it gets you more familiar with certain functions. There is usually a large choice of tutorials, especially with more mainstream and popular engines. Option 2 is something that I do very often, and that is to set myself an easy task and complete it. So for instance, give yourself a task like making a calculator, and then use tutorials, forums, and documentations to try to make it. Your task should be simple and achievable by a beginner, so don't go giving yourself something more advanced. This is very useful as you're learning the engine and you're getting better at not just following tutorials. So if you're planning on doing this, make sure to not just look up a tutorial on how to do the whole thing, but rather find pieces of code from different places and join them together to make the final product. And to be perfectly honest, you should be doing either option 1 or 2 multiple times. Don't just complete one task or follow one tutorial, but repeat this over and over again. Once you pass this initial stage, there is a lot you can do. You could either think of a simple game and try to make it, or maybe recreate certain parts of other popular games, for instance Portal's Portal Gun. At this point, you're already just trying to learn new things and get better with the engine. And personally, I believe that practical work is way more effective than just watching a lecture video. So at this point, I think we should just go over to different tools and programs that you can use to help your game dev journey. If you're interested in making your own sprites for your game, I'd recommend using Photoshop and Sprite, as those are both great. Sprite is catered towards pixel art, while Photoshop can do both but is better at non-pixel art related assets. However, both of those programs do cost money and aren't free, so some free alternatives are GIMP and Piskel. For 3D modeling, you can use Blender, and that is completely free, or maybe Maya. And for texturing, you can use Substance Painter or Blender once again. And for those who want to make music for the games, I'd recommend Ableton Live, as you can get a really long free trial for it. I think it's like 90 days. So all these programs are very useful for game devs. However, there is also something that every game developer needs, and that is GitHub. Or at least some source control. Pretty much GitHub will allow you to save your changes for free to a cloud server. This means that if your work ever gets corrupted or you need to go back to a previous version, you can. This is genuinely something you need and is super easy to get working. I know a lot of people make the mistake of not using it and then end up regretting it later. It's also a great place to share files with other people. Also, I thought I'd mention this. There are websites like ArtStation that let you browse a ton of work made by others, which can hopefully inspire you, or work that you can use as references to anything you're making. Okay, so let's say you finished making your game. What now? Well, you most likely want to release it. Steam and Epic Games are great, but they are used for more serious commercial games, and there are costs involved. So, as a free alternative, you can publish a game to itch.io. You can do this for free and still charge people on there, and I personally believe that it's a great place to publish your work. So that's about it. Honestly, I think that's pretty much everything you need to know. Just remember to take things at your own pace, and don't overwork yourself. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, you can download Core Today for free with the link below or visit coregames.com. And thank you to my Patreons, Smoking Vita, TARDIS IT Guy, Atomic Punk, and Drift from Reddit. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!